The Souls of Womenfolk. So this book, I loved it. It was a really hard read. I don't know why, but for some reason for me, no matter how much Black history I learn, no matter how much I know like how horrible it was and like the things our ancestors went through or my ancestors went through, um it's still so freaking hard to read it, to see it in videos, to hear about it. It's such a hard thing. Um, I super enjoyed this book. It's written more not super academic-y, but more academic-y. So for my brain it takes longer to process than just something where you're just like but and then on top of that, just like really delving into like these people did this, like this happened, like why did this happen? How could people do this? And it says the soul of women, folks, and it says the religious cultures of enslaved women in the lower South. And I thought it was going to be like a lot like religion. Like I read Mojo Working, and that's like all about trying to figure out like how hoodoo began and stuff like that. So I thought it was going to be something more along those lines, but this was just like really not that. Um, I remember being in the midst of it and just remembering like this is supposed to be about religion, and it does like tie back to it, so to speak, like as in if you're having something to hold on to, you're using your religion at that time as like your anchor to keep going, to keep pushing, to know hopefully one day it's going to be better, maybe not for you but for your children and things like that. So I do get that aspect of it, but it was just so much more than, in my mind, than just religion. It was just like the day-to-day life and like women and growing up, I always thought like, wow, like Black men, they have it hard, and which they do. Don't get me wrong. I'm like Black women, I mean, not women, men have it hard. And like with slavery, they had it hard and like all these things. But the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing Black women have it hard. Like, and I don't just mean that because I'm a woman, but it's like Black women were out in the fields doing the work that Black men were doing. They were, both Black men and women were being, schmexually abused. Um, a lot of like spanking and whippings and things like that or are carried over from slavery because we wanted to discipline and whip our kids so that the slave master didn't have to. Black women were getting whipped and beat pregnant, okay? Like nothing. Black women's babies were getting killed because they were biracial and they were by master. Black women were using herbs and stuff to commit, not commit, but for abortion and things like that. And it's just like everything that happened to the men happened to the women, and possibly on a worse level. And there's so much psychological, even from the physical, like you can get over physical things. Like they hurt, yes. You have your scars, yes. But that psychological damage that they put on um Black men and women and children still in effect today. Still very much alive. And this book just like brought a lot of that to me to the forefront. And I've read other books where I'm like seeing that and stuff like that, but it was a really good book. She did a really good job, the author. I would recommend it for someone to read if you're into Black history, Black culture, wanting to know more about Black culture, and or if you're Black, you want to know more about your ancestors and things that they went through and stuff. But it's just sometimes I'm an overthinker just in general, but just reading the stuff and like having to sit with it and all those things, like it gets hard. And it's a weird, like for me as a person, like why would I want to do these things to people? Like even if it is free labor, like why? Like you could still get your free labor. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have to be that bad. And it's devastating and it's sad, and I can see where it puts, like, women against each other. Another book that I'll be reading for next year is They Were Her Property, so it's gonna talk about, white women's role in slavery and things like that, because they owned a lot of slaves too. They inherited slaves and this and that, and, and they had their own thing where they played a part. And so, I think that was brought up a little bit in the book, but it was just so many things where I'm just like, and you just have to sit back and you think about that mentality and the things that were, have been passed down, and like the dynamics of like our households, and like, oh, you got baby daddy, baby mama, like all these, it's starts in that area. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't hold on to your family. You had to have a wall. Like, I can't even imagine like giving birth and then they're like, get back to the fields, and babies literally starve to death. Or you need to feed my baby, not yours. And your baby's starving to death. Or you killing your baby because you're like, I'm pregnant, but maybe the abortion herbs didn't work, but for dang sure, I'm not bringing my child into this life. And or the life just isn't going to work out because they're not giving you enough food. It's too cold. It's too this. It's too that. You can't take care of your kids. Um, you have babies taking care of babies because mommy and daddy have to go to the field or to the house or whatever. I had read in someone else's book where, oh gosh, I don't know if it was that, if it was just, I don't know, because I've read so many books and I let them pile up too much. But like the younger or the older sibling who was like 4 was taking care of the infant sibling, and a fire caught, and the baby like burned and died. And or maybe not burned, but died from like the smoke and stuff like that. And that child felt guilty. You're 4 years old. You weren't supposed to be doing that. You weren't supposed to know how to take care of that. But anyhow, yeah, I recommend the book. It just came out this year. I don't remember exactly when, but I did read it. I was starting to read it with my daughter, but then I seen that it was like way over her head, and it felt like a struggle to me to read it with her. Trying to like break everything down and explain it. I don't know, sometimes like you just know stuff, but you don't know how to explain it to someone else on their level. So that part was hard. And then we just realized like it's not working out. She's not ready for this one quite yet. So I just ended up reading it by myself, and it worked out really, really good. And I loved it. And I wanted to share it with you guys so that you can pick it up if you're interested in that type of book. Until the next one. Bye.